Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're a man in America and you think dating apps are a viable option for you in the current dating marketplace, I would plead with you to think again. And if you're already on these apps and that's your primary or only source that you are using to meet women and for dating and for vetting a potential spouse, which is what I encourage. I don't really encourage hookup culture or things like that, then I would again consider and ask you to think again about this. Because if we look at your chances and odds of meeting someone that fits your criteria, it's incredibly low. And I think at best, you may end up finding someone after a long time of searching on these apps. And at the very worst, these apps are downright robbing you with their pricing plans. So let's go through some of the statistics here about just the male to female ratios on these apps, what they're charging you. And do you really think you're going to get a good outcome from these different dating apps? So if we look at the gender distribution of some of these dating apps here, first of all, it says that 3 in 10 adults have used dating apps, and Tinder tops the list of them all. But the key statistic here is the percentage of users. This is on Tinder, which I don't think you should ever download and use Tinder ever. I don't think it's a very good place to meet at all. Maybe at one point 10 years ago it could have been, but now it is not a good place to meet people. I would delete your account immediately if I was you. So the percentage of users of male is 75% on Tinder and 25% female. So right off the bat, there's already a massive unequal share of male to females on the site, meaning you're going to be competing with a lot of other men for the attention of a smaller and smaller pool and percentage of females. I don't like your odds at that point. And even for high quality men who are, maybe good looking and have a lot of things going for them, you're just going to be competing against a lot of other men who have a similar status or maybe have a higher status than you. And so it's just going to be very difficult for you to get your desired outcome. For the age groups here, you can see 45% of the people using the app are 25 to 34, 30% is 18 to 24. So 3/4 of the people are going to be in that 34 to 18 age range. So a lot of the younger audience. So you're going to be competing with other men in that age group and also more wealthier men in the 35 to 54 age range. So very interesting. And this is another interesting one here, the income distribution, which I don't even know that they had this information here. But you can see that a lot of people on Tinder, about 55% are making 60K or less, which is very interesting according to these statistics. But right off the bat, like I said, because of that massive disparity between men and women in terms of the available people on the app, it's just going to be very difficult for you to meet someone. Let's look at Hinge, which I'm not a big fan of any dating app, but if you are to use one, I would steer clear away from Tinder. Hinge may be the other one that I think is of a lot better quality. I think you have a better shot at meeting someone on there. I would still not encourage it in the United States at all. It seems here, based on their demographic study, the male to female ratio on Hinge is approximately 2-1, with the men outnumbering the women as a whole on this app. And you can see here, the average age users between 18 to 39 is going to make up a large majority of them. Now, I have known some people who have met people on Hinge in this day and age, and good job for them. But I think overall it is a bit of a waste of time for you, because a lot of these women on these apps, and there are probably some good women on there and some people with good intentions, but for a lot of women, it's just another form of social media for them. And you'll notice how many times and how often they put their Instagrams in their bios. Well, that just tells you that they're just wanting more Instagram followers. And so they're not really intending to date or meet someone on there. They don't even really take you very seriously. And the fact that you're there in the first place kind of sets you up on the wrong foot in terms of being in a position of power in the dating aspect of things. So I would not recommend these apps at all. I don't think there's a lot of serious people on them. Like I said, serious relationships can come of it. But I think some of the statistics show that like only 5 to 6% of people who've met on dating apps actually end up getting married. So it's a very, very small percentage, and you'd have to go on a lot of dates and meet a lot of people in order for that to happen. I think the worst is the financial burden of these dating apps. Let's look at Tinder. The subscription model is insane. And on a lot of these apps, because there are so many men, you're basically forced to pay for these, different subscriptions, unless you're the top tier of men, just to get noticed at all in any girl's likes folder or match with them at all. You're going to need to pay for one of these tiers. So you can see the Tinder Gold costs $40 for 1 month, plus cost $25 for 1 month. For 6 months, it's $30 a month, but then that's a minimum payment. So that's going to be about, $180 total for that one payment. And then apparently they have this Tinder Select tier, which is $500 per month and invite only. Absolutely insane. I think there's better uses of your money than paying for these ridiculous. I would say these are schemes or even close to scams to some degree, because the likely outcome of success is so low. It's basically akin to gambling at this point. You're saying, I'm going to throw a bunch of money at the problem and hope it fixes it. And I doubt it will. Hinge is not much better, in my opinion. It's still fairly expensive. Let's look at some of the costs here. There's a Hinge Plus membership, which is $99 for 6 months. A little cheaper, but still, you're shelving out a lot of money just for the opportunity to land in someone's like folder. And so is this proposition really worth it, considering that women often use it for just social media, or oftentimes they might end up meeting you in person, but a lot of women will use this as foodie dates, as they call them, where they just get opportunities to have someone pay for their meal or take them on an experience, and you're not really getting a high quality dating experience out of it. You really need to value your time more than that, in my opinion. You need to value your resources in a way that it's put to good use, that you're not being distracted by these things that aren't really reaching towards your end goal, aren't really going to help you reach what you're trying to achieve. So I would get off these apps. And also, just by getting on the apps to begin with, like I said, puts you in a disadvantaged position, because in real life, if we survey women, they want to be approached in real life. And I understand the difficulties of that in the United States and even in the UK or Western countries, where since the Me Too movement, that's gotten a lot harder. We've seen some negative reactions to that. I feel like that is a bit overblown, but I know people have had negative experiences with that as a whole. But I think you're much better off trying to do that, where you get to actually show your personality and who you are in an interaction. Body language and how you talk to someone and your humor and just who you are as a person is much better communicated in an in-person environment. So unless you're one of these 10 out of 10 top people where your profile can really display, a lavish lifestyle that would appeal to someone on these apps, which if that's the appeal, then you probably don't want these women in the first place. But in person, you're gonna have a much better chance of displaying your personality, displaying your skills, communicating with someone, having a form of banter, and that shoots your chances way, way, way up. Obviously, the barrier of entry is going to be much higher for in-person or cold approaches, and we know that. That's why these dating apps are flooded with men and flooded with people, is because the barrier of entry is basically zero. It's basically a credit card, and since people are already spending time, spending money on DoorDash and other useless subscriptions, it's just another one that they add to the top of the heap, hoping to get something out of it. But I feel like a lot of men have been lingering in, dating app purgatory, where they keep trying the same thing over and over and over again, hoping to get some form of a different result. I think some point you need to try a different solution. You need to try something different, even if it's a bit uncomfortable. But if you did that uncomfortable thing and you're able to get a better result, to me, that's absolutely worth it in the end. It doesn't even have to be cold approaching. By joining clubs, churches, or communities where you're able to pre-select people because of who would be a part of these different activities, you're going to have a much better shot of meeting people and meeting women who share your interests, that share, your values. And I think that's much better than going on a random app where, your chances of meeting someone who meets your qualities and your qualifications. I did in a previous video, just the chance of meeting a woman in the US that likely fits your traditional roles, if that's what your values are, is already low to begin with. And then what's the odds of that traditional woman with those traditional values showing up on a dating app? I think it's even lower than that. I think you probably have better odds in person just talking to women you don't know at all and trying to get to know them, in my opinion. But that one requires skill. That one requires a little bit of work in. That requires, upping your appearance, upping yourself in the gym, upping your personality, getting funnier, which, is a bit of a daunting challenge, but I'm always preaching self-improvement. I'm always preaching, look, try and make yourself better. Try to be the best version of yourself, because you deserve it for yourself, number one, and then that's going to help you in every aspect of life. But don't get put in the situation where you're stuck in dating app purgatory, where everything is against you, you're burning money, and then if you finally do get some form of a match and then maybe go on a date, a likelihood is that it's just going to be a foodie date and go nowhere, according to statistics. Like I said, I've known people who have met and got married from dating apps. Great job. Excellent that they were able to achieve that. but the statistics are stacked against you. And if you continue to do this, you're going to continue to get the same results. So look at other solutions. Look to improve your personality as a whole in real life. Don't just talk to women in real life, but cold approach random people. Talk to them. Join clubs, join groups, and you'll find over time as your social connections improve, your web of ability and people to pre-vet women for you to meet improves and becomes much, much better. Or look at dating in other countries, which I'm going to be covering extensively, and how yourself as a man has a much better odds of meeting someone who fits your requirements because of your social status, your money, and the overall social conditions of the country in question. So let me know your thoughts down below. I'd like to hear your experiences with dating apps because everyone has a little different experiences. I'll talk about my personal experiences in a different video, but currently I do not use dating apps in the United States because I see it as a waste of money and a waste of time and just not something that I think would fit into my lifestyle. So let me know in a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you don't know how good your life can get, and God bless.